Hey everyone, welcome to Cookie House Part 1, Making the House Pieces. I found the template for this particular cookie house in this magazine, and here's the page with the template on it. What I did is I photocopied that page, natural size, I cut out the pieces, and then you want to enlarge the pieces to the right size to make the cookie pieces to use them as a template, which happens to equal, in this particular recipe, 1 square equals 1 inch. And I enlarged it to 212%. Then after that, you're going to cut out the pieces because you're going to put this over top of the cookie dough, and that's what you're going to use to cut out the walls and roof and that for your house. So there are some of the pieces. Now for the actual cookie part, you put 3½ cups of flour, 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, then about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and you want to blend that and set it aside. Then in a saucepan you're going to add 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of butter, as well as 2/3 of a cup of dark color corn syrup. Now you're going to turn the heat on to medium, and you're going to stir this and melt it until the butter is completely melted and that the sugar crystals have mostly dissolved. This is not going to come to a boil. Then you're going to pour it into another bowl, and you're going to stir in 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Actually, I put a teaspoon here instead of a tablespoon. I just realized that. I don't think it made much of a difference, to tell you the truth. And then you're going to let that sit and cool for 5 minutes. After the 5-minute cooling period, you're going to add 1 egg that's lightly beaten. And then to that wet mixture, you're going to add the flour. I added it in a little bit at a time. And what you will end up with is a cookie dough that seems to be a lot looser than it should be. It's not stiff at all. And you're going to think that you've made a cake instead of cookies. That's how it's not going to be very stiff. But what you're going to do is you're going to put it onto a piece of wax paper or parchment, and you're going to let it cool. And as it cools, you're going to find it's going to become the perfect dough for this recipe. It actually rolls quite well. So you're going to take the pieces and you're going to roll it out to about 1/8 of an inch of thickness. And you'll notice it doesn't stick to your rolling pin. It is a little bit of a fussy dough to work with, but it's not that bad actually. And you roll it right onto your parchment paper, because you're going to take this and put it right on the cookie sheet when you're done. Take your piece of paper template and put it on. Now you notice I push down on the paper. Don't do that, because it'll stick to the dough. Just put it on lightly and don't push down. Then take a sharp knife and cut out your pieces. This particular template, you cut one with windows and a door and one without. And then you need to flip the paper over to do the next piece. So there it is, nice and stuck. But no big deal, it is dough after all. You just flatten it down and fix it up. Then after you cut it out, you pull off the excess pieces, and those scraps you just roll and reuse again. Now if you want your cookie house to look like a little bit like a log cabin, then you're going to grab a ruler, a clean one, and you're going to make marks on the dough with it. There, I'm just showing you the template, what it says on the template. This particular template is very, very well explained, and it's in the magazine. So you're going to make little lines. Now you're not going to go through the dough, and you don't want to push it too hard, otherwise your dough will get cut, obviously. So you do that, and then you're going to put the whole thing onto a cookie sheet, and you're going to bake it at 350 degrees. For about 8 to 10 minutes until the dough is firm. So I'm doing here one of the sides. Now there is enough dough for this recipe to do the entire house, and I actually have a little bit left over if you wanted to make some little cookie people to put around the house or to put in the house. And you cut out the windows. Now it says that you can laminate these pieces of template so that you can reuse it for the next year. That's not a bad idea if you're planning on making the same house every year. But there are so many different patterns out there, why would you, right? Okay, then you pull off the edges and then you just pluck out the windows that you've cut out. And it would have been nice if I would have done this on camera, but I obviously was on the side. You can see the dough is actually fairly easy to work with. Goes in the oven 8 to 10 minutes, and while it is still warm and not quite done, you're going to put the template paper back on, and you're going to trim where it sticks out, because it does spread a little tiny bit. Now this is actually the hardest part, because the cookie sheet is hot, and so is the cookie, and it's hard on the fingers. You might want to maybe put some oven mitts or something on to do this. You don't have to trim very much, and you'll notice that once you do the windows, when you cut out the windows, when you bake the piece with the cutout windows, you may have to cut out the windows a little bit because the windows will close in. And then bake it again for an additional couple of minutes until the cookie pieces are dry. After the cookie pieces are done, put them on cooling racks. And then tomorrow I will show you how to assemble and decorate your cookie house.
And now for my joke of the day. This one is for Rock. How do you keep a snake from striking?
I don't know.
Pay decent wages.